Hey, good morning, everyone. Weather forecaster Derrick Overland here. We have your forecast for what you can expect for the rest of the week, and spoiler, it's going to be beautiful for the rest of the week. It's going to be great. We're going to have these warm temperatures, mild temperatures, quiet conditions, a little bit breezy at times, but that's about it. It's going to be very, very nice here for the next couple of days. But we will talk a little bit about what's up for next week. We're going to have a little bit of a pattern change coming up later on in the late week next week, where we could have the potential for some cooler temperatures, still slightly above average, but still cooler temperatures than what we're having now. And then we also have the possibility of some snowfall once again. So enjoy. Again, mentioned yesterday, this is going to be a fall spring. We knew that this was a fall spring. We're from Minnesota. We've been here for a while. We know how this works. Don't fall for it, right? We do have that snow possibility once again here coming up for next week, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, we'll start with our current conditions here across the area. We're looking at our Loosen Out Live camera, and we do have some sunny skies. A few clouds every here and there towards around the Mississippi River Valley. But for most of the area, pretty much completely sunny. Temperatures in the 40s and 30s. We do have some feels likes in the 30s, even 20s there in Winona, so a little bit cooler towards the river, but south winds around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mason City a little bit on that breezy side, 16 miles per hour from the southwest, so bringing in those warmer temperatures here. Looking at our temperatures at wind chill across the area, majority of us sitting in those 40s. Notice off to the east towards the Mississippi River Valley, a little bit cooler. We're still in the 30s, feels like temperatures close to around the mid-20s, upper 20s. But then further west, where the warm air is coming from, we do have some warmer temperatures getting into the 40s, and even some feels like temperatures. You can see there in Charles City, they have a feels like temperature of 40 degrees. So getting close to those 40s for the feels like temperatures, but it feels really good out there. It's a nice change from what we had, the past couple of weeks where we had those cold temperatures. It's a nice change. But here's a look at future track radar. Not much going on. Few flurries off to our east towards I-94 in Wisconsin. That will stay out of our area. That's also kind of where that cloud cover is coming from the Mississippi, or towards the Mississippi River Valley, giving them some cooler temperatures. But for us, we're going to pretty much stay quiet here for the remainder of the day. As notice, those clouds are kind of splitting. The little bit of cloud cover that we have towards the Mississippi River Valley, well, that's coming from the stationary boundary that's right over us. That's kind of also where the warm temperatures are at. So looking back at our temperatures, so here's a look at our current temperatures. We're looking at wind chill 2 here. But notice as we head towards east, cooler temperatures around the Mississippi River. But then as we go south of I-90, warmer temperatures over here, even towards like Albert Lee, Dodge Center, even like Rochester, seeing some warmer temperatures. This is kind of where that line is here. I'll draw a little line here. But that's kind of where the line is, where we have those cold temperatures towards the east, warm temperatures towards the south and the west. So here's a look at our surface map again. I'll zoom in a little bit. So the stationary boundary is right over us. We can see the warm air coming north. This stationary boundary is probably more past Rochester, right along the river now. And so that's where we have kind of those colder temperatures, because this northern part is the cold sector. So we have some colder temperatures to the north, warmer temperatures to the south. They're kind of colliding and fighting together, and that's why it's a stationary boundary. It doesn't move too much because the two different air masses of the warm and the cold are fighting against each other, trying to run into each other. And so creating kind of that stationary boundary right over us. So most of us seeing those really warm temperatures, while areas towards the Mississippi River Valley seeing maybe a little bit cooler temperatures. Still mild though, it's still warmer than what it was, but just not seeing those warm temperatures just yet over there. It will come later on this evening. But here's the next big thing. Today will be sunny and mild. Temperatures mainly in the low 50s through Tuesday. That's going to be really nice. So all the way throughout the weekend into the beginning of the next week in the low 50s. But we do have that pattern change that I mentioned before for next week. Colder late into the week, looking to be right around the freezing point. So right around those low to mid 30s, possibly a couple upper 20s, but looking to be mostly in those low 30s, right around the freezing point, which then we have the possibility of some rain, also even the chance for some snow in some places, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But here's a look at future track as we go throughout the next 24 to 48 hours. Pretty much quiet conditions. We just have a few clouds every here and there. Temperatures warm, looking to be in the 40s and 50s, as I mentioned before, all the way throughout the weekend and into the beginning of the next week. And here's a look at those temperatures once again here as we go throughout the weekend. Notice towards the end, towards next week, we do have that cool down start to happen. We dip from the 50s to the 40s on Wednesday, and then we'll start to cool back down towards around our seasonal temperature. We'll still be slightly above average, I do think. I think we're going to be in those low 30s. Notice our average temperatures in the upper 20s, 26 and 27 degrees. We'll be around that, but we're going to be cooler than the 50s. The 50s are going to be nice while we have them. But notice here's a little bit further out. This is the next 10 days. Notice we go from those 50s on Tuesday, Wednesday down to the 40s, down into those 30s by Thursday of next week. So those cold temperatures will eventually come back. And with those cooler temperatures, again, we're going to have that possibility of some rain-snow mix, and then eventually maybe just some snowfall towards the late week into the next weekend. So this upcoming weekend, quiet, beautiful, enjoy it while we have it. Towards next week, that's when we're going to bring in that possibility of a few precipitation chances. We do need some precipitation. It's getting dry out there, but we do have that possibility of some snowfall towards the end of the week. Now, I don't think that we're going to have snow every single day here. So we have a system that moves through. It comes in Thursday night is what it's looking like right now. And it kind of moves in around Friday, maybe a couple flurries Saturday, but I don't think we're going to see snow all day, every day on these days, so just keep that in mind. But we do have that stray possibility. So here's that risk of snowfall. This is from the Climate Prediction Center, their hazard outlooks. So we do have the upper Midwest in this bubble here, where we do have between the 19th, February 19th, and the 25th, we have the 30% slight risk of some snowfall. Again, that's between the 19th and the 25th. That's what we were looking at there with that snowfall possibility there. And so we are in that. We are in towards the southern side of this circle. So eventually, as we get closer towards next week, we'll be able to kind of get a better grasp on where the system is exactly going to be, what kind of precipitation type we're going to see, how much snow could we see, because there's going to be a lot of uncertainties for us in particular because we're on the southern end of the system. So obviously, as you go further north, temperatures are going to be colder. You can say, okay, we're going to have some snow, right? In like Duluth, it's going to be colder. We're going to have some snow. But when we were talking about our temperatures here, we were going to be right around that freezing point. So it's still very far away. Again, it's 10, around over 10 days out. So we'll just keep an eye on it. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty, but there is some pattern recognition that we do have some consistencies in our system where we can see that, hey, there might be a possibility of some snowfall coming back later on towards the end of next week. And so here's our slight risk, 30% chance, a stray chance essentially, of some snowfall later on next week, that there is some correlation there. There's some connection and some that possibility that we'll have that snowfall by the end of the week. Now, again, it's far away. We're a long ways away. It's just keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to continue to monitor it, and then once it's something, if it turns out to be something that ends up being a first alert day, we're going to do that as soon as we get the correct readings, the correct understandings, and all that stuff, or understandings, and all that stuff that we go through to issue first alert days. Then we'll do that, but we'll hold off, until we get that confirmation there that this is something to worry about, but right now it's just something keep in the back of your head. It's something that we're noticing and something that we're going to keep on watching here as we go into the next week. So here's tomorrow's forecast. We're going to be into those 40s and 50s. Enjoy these really nice conditions, again, while we have them. Enjoy this fall spring, this mid-February fall spring that we're having. 40s and 50s, sunny skies. It's going to be nice tomorrow to enjoy our Friday. Here's our 7-day forecast. It's going to be nice for the next 4 to 5 days. 40s and 50s. Valentine's Day looking great on Saturday coming up. Mostly sunny skies, really mild in those low 50s. Average high this time of year, mid-20s. Well above that into those 40s and 50s. So enjoy these warm temperatures. And eventually towards next week, that's when we have that pattern shift. We'll have a couple more chances for some precipitation. Some needed precipitation. We need it. The snow is good for us. The rain obviously is good for us. But enjoy it. We'll be able to enjoy some nice conditions before that, so that's something to enjoy. However, we do have that pattern shift that we're looking into coming up for next week, especially towards the later part of next week when we start to cool those temperatures back down. All right, so take a look at some comments here. I wasn't looking at those earlier, but let's see here. We have it's Minnesota heat wave around here. Yeah, it is a heat wave. Yes, these. I've been really liking it. And thank you, Joel, for watching. Maureen wants some snow. You ready for some more snow? We're still slightly below average. Going off the top of my head, I might not be 100% correct on this, but I think we're around 8 to 10 inches of snow below average still. The number could be wrong by now because I think I checked that a couple weeks ago, but we haven't seen too much snow in that time. So I think it's we're still a little bit below average for our snowfall for yearly totals, but still plenty of winter to go around. You know, we're only in February. It's not going to feel like it. It's going to feel like March. It might even feel a little bit like April coming up here, but we're only in February. Hard to remember that, but we're only in February. Plenty of winter still left. Plenty of snow chances that we'll have. It's Minnesota. It's Midwest. We're used to this. Weather's all messed up. Yeah, we had some of those kind of that polar vortex kind of go down, and then we had the down south into our area where we had coldest temperatures. I mean, there was a point a couple weeks ago when we had that cold snap or that cold spell. We were the coldest place in the entire world between our wind chills and our temperatures, and then now we're seeing that opposite effect. In weather, it works a lot like whenever there's an action, there's an opposite reaction. So whenever we have a strong low pressure system, so you may notice something that I've come to notice here in the Midwest, that when there's a hurricane, right, in like the Gulf or heading towards Florida or, you know, in the Atlantic, there usually is a high pressure system, a strong high pressure system somewhere else. So the atmosphere needs to balance itself out where we have a strong low pressure system like a hurricane moving in towards in the northern hemisphere. There's usually another strong high pressure system in the northern hemisphere. So then we have nice weather while someone else is getting a hurricane. Kind of works out that way. And our temperatures, pretty much everything in weather, almost everything in weather works that way, where if we have a spell of some really cold temperatures, well, eventually, you know, in the next week or so, we'll probably have some warm temperatures. It kind of has that opposite reaction, and usually that's the case. One action turns into an opposite reaction, and it's kind of nice how weather works that way. It makes it makes it a little bit easier, but again, it doesn't always work that way. About 90% of the time, I think it does. It does stuff like that, though, where it has that opposite reaction. But that's all I have for you today. Kept that 7-day forecast up for you, so you can get a good look at that. But we're gonna end the stream here. Our noon show will be starting in about a half hour, 25 minutes here. And then we'll also, of course, have our 5, 6 o'clock shows, our evening shows tonight. So tune into those, and we'll see you again later on. But enjoy these really warm temperatures, really nice conditions for the end of this week into the weekend. And we'll continue to track out what's in store for later on next week. Continue to give you updates.